So we invite you to find that comfortable position in the chair, relaxing and allowing the chair to support the weight of your body. And just begin to notice if there's any tension or tightness in the body. Just allow those areas to relax, sending them loving energy and peaceful thoughts. All is well. I am at peace. I am present to the now moment. With our outer eyes closed and our attention centered into our hearts, we let go of the experiences in the outer, that we may move into that place of perfect peace within us. And if you want to, you may put one or both hands over your heart center, over the area of your sternum, and just feeling the touch of your hands. You may begin to feel also the gentle vibrations, the loving vibrations of your heart center. That's heart center that is sending out vibrations, your vibrations, well past your body. You are a radiating, vibrating, healing, balancing center of divine love. The more we choose loving thoughts, words, and actions, the more we allow ourselves to be in the now moment, in the present, fully present to the presence. We amplify that vibration of love. And another way to amplify that is to express gratitude and appreciation for those things that bring you peace and joy. So I invite you to pause now with your attention in your heart, thinking about a few of the things for which you are grateful, a few of the things within you or within your life that you appreciate and value dearly. And just notice how you feel as you choose to think about those things that you value and appreciate, those things for which you are grateful. And so anytime we notice that we are not feeling peaceful, that we are not feeling joyful or contented, that we can use this centering in the present moment, using thoughts of gratitude and expressions of gratitude to bring us up in our vibration, in the true expression of who we are. For we were created in love. Love is our essence and our nature, and it is our purpose. We may want to start every day with a commitment to expressing love in all that we do, being loving with ourselves first and then others, to remember the love in which we live and move and have our being. For as Louise Hay said, love is everywhere. And everywhere I go, I meet loving people and have loving experiences. For I am centered in the energy and vibration of divine love. the infinite healing, harmonizing power of the one power and presence of which we are a part. I invite you to silently affirm for yourself, I am grateful for the knowing that I am always loved, guided, protected, and provided for. Love is my nature and my purpose. I joyfully accept that vision and mission for my life. Just take another deep breath, breathing in that thought, that truth. Just take a moment in the silence to be with that energy emanating from your joyful, grateful heart. And you may feel a pulsing of vibration and energy. You may feel your heartbeat and notice the movement of your body as you breathe. But most of all, notice how you feel mentally and emotionally and physically. We live in gratitude for the power of divine life that we are. And so it is. Amen. So I invite you to take another deep breath before you open your eyes and extend namaste to the others in the group.
Okay, it's kind of hard to be heard when you are muted. So last week, Penny wanted to ask questions. So I told her to read the chat, the class, and to ask the questions that she wanted answered. And here we are.
I was asking for somewhat of a review, and you said, well, we would review together or something. I didn't really have any more questions. I just kind of thought we were going through rather rapidly, so it's just like kind of like a runaway freight train. And so I don't know that I have questions.
But in what specifically? We talked about different subjects.
I know. Well, we can just go on. That's fine.
No. I mean, I wanted to add, I mean, you seem to be particularly interested on something like the startup or something. Not exactly sure which one, but you wanted something. And let me see, where is that class?
It'd be nice kind of to be able to review some of what you went over, but if you want to move on, that's fine. I didn't have any specific questions. I just felt like sometimes I felt like it was moving a little too fast for me to keep up work. But again, I can go listen to the tapes or to the recordings. I don't.
Well, that's what I thought you were gonna do and come back with the questions you had.
No, I didn't know that was my
I
assignment.
misunderstood you.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that was my assignment. So I did not do that. I did not have time to do that. So we can just
Don't
move on.
worry about it. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to see what we did. There we go.
Angie,
Yes.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay. From what, last week?
Well, one of them is way back. And
Way back. Okay.
yeah, way back.
Okay.
And I remember you explaining this, and I went, oh, yeah. And can I find that in my notes again? Do I remember that yet? No.
Yeah.
And it's what is the difference in emotions and feelings?
Okay. Feelings are sensual. Your feeling, your physicality, you can feel like a warm fuzzy. You can feel um like having what do you call those things when your skin turns like chicken, or you can feel cold, and you can feel it's a feeling thing. It's of the body, is sensual, referring to the body's reaction to outside stimuli. The emotion has to do with the internal feelings that come from yourself, from how you're being activated by the outside stimuli also. But it is more internal, and it does not, and it goes with also with thinking, and sometimes from feeling you can go into an actual emotion. Might be the beginning of an emotion. You feel like a gut feeling, and then suddenly you go into an emotion because it reminded you of something or that happened in the past. So that will be your difference. Remember one thing, when we're talking about any specific subject, you will get different answers according to your level of understanding, which means that we probably expanded further, so your definition will change slightly. As we talk and you hear me, and you will hear me sometimes use a whole different approach, it's because we're no longer at the same level. Virginia, can you mute yourself, please? You're crackling all over.
Okay.
Yes, Lisa.
I was trying to listen to last week, and you were.
Virginia, can you mute yourself? You're crackling. Thank you.
I unplugged the earphones.
Last week you said love is not an emotion or a feeling, but then I didn't listen to all of last week, so I don't know if you maybe talked about that more.
Okay, so what's your question?
Clarify what is love?
I just went through the emotion and the feeling with Virginia. Did you hear me?
I wrote it down, but you said love is not a feeling, love is not an emotion.
Yeah, it's not, because it's non-physical.
Oh, it's non-physical, okay. But it feels physical sometimes.
No, it does not.
No.
No. I'm sorry, you're confusing feelings and emotions with love, and it's not.
I think a lot of us do that.
No, it's way past that. It's beyond that.
Thank you.
Yes, Virginia?
So then how do you recognize real love?
When you get into this, is what they call getting into that zone that where you're just flowing with everything, flowing with whatever is in front of you, whether it's a sport or a symphony or just you cooking dinner, and you're in that space of total unlimitedness. It's just what you experience as that. It's really not a feeling, it's just an experience where you don't feel like you are being held back by anything. No thought, no emotion, no feeling, but you are in the flow. You're accepting things as they are, how they are. And its acceptance is not a feeling. Yes, Sarah.
So in other words, it's completely being in the present moment. When you're
Yes,
completely present,
exactly.
you
That
are
is
in
love.
love.
The other ones are what, there's different kinds of love.
Right. The agape.
Yeah, the agape is the one that we're referring to here. We're not talking about eros or anything else. Okay, anyone else? Penny, any questions? We were talking last week about the beauty of the moment. When you are totally in the present, you are almost the observer, um, interacting with the world. I'm in this world, but not of it. I am here, but I don't let the outside interfere with who I am. I am here, I'm in this body, but not of it. Also meaning that no outside influence can affect me in any way. And because of that, I'm able to be free to express without any condition. Basically, we started the classes last week with recognizing what the moment was, and our lives usually are very routine. We move from one task to another, to another, to another, and that's the way we spend our days. Now I'm gonna do this, and I need to do that, and I'm gonna brush my teeth, and I'm gonna have some coffee, and I'm going to have some tea, and I'm going to eat breakfast, and I'm going to take out the dog outside or take the cats out or whatever you do. And it's a routine. It's this and this and this and this, and it's not healthy. It's not a healthy way of living, because what you're doing is you're already programming. You're running a program like a robot. Okay, even a record player. You put and I'm going back to the 70s, a record player with a vinyl, and you put the song, and it goes on, and then it skips and it goes back to the beginning, and he plays the same song and gets stuck and gets back, rather than applying your creativity. Maybe get up on the opposite side of the wall, maybe brush your teeth with the left hand or the right hand, according to whatever hand you have. Maybe have some chocolate instead of coffee, or some tea instead of soda. Just you're not a robot but we act like that we are. Okay, I gotta go over here, and I gotta turn off the lights, and I gotta go outside, and I have to see who came by, or if there's anything on there's always something that sets up that momentum, and that is called a routine. Unfortunately, a routine does not help you. A routine entraps you into not being more creative, into being more robot-like. And it's not because you're trying to be that, it's only because you are already in that program. You're being run by a program. So anyhow, it says the newness of each moment can only be understood by a mind that is quiet enough to become aware of it. So basically that's when, if you cannot be in the now, or not the now, I don't like that word. If you cannot be in the present, uh, you cannot be um, you cannot be loving, you cannot do all the things that need to be done at the fifth level. Okay, and the only way that you can train yourself to do that is to apply and watch your thoughts. Not watch your thoughts in judgment. Just watch them for a minute or two and see what they're saying, and don't fight them, but do not also entertain them. Thoughts are not good or bad, it's what you make them. And you make them according to what your programming is. So be more conscious of your thoughts, and the more conscious you are, the more that you're able to discern whether you're present or not. When you don't have a story running through your head, which is very seldom, is the when you don't have that, then you are in the present. The now is a unit of time, so I don't go there. Time's still time. Actually, the nowness is not even an acknowledgement of anything, because I can say now it's already gone. It's not about that. It's about being present in consciousness, being aware in consciousness, being unconditioned without a program. Okay, that was one. Then we talked about the body being an anchor to remain present. One of the ways that I said to remain present was to use your breath, to concentrate on the pause between breaths. Also in this specific passage also was about standing in truth. But whose truth are you standing in? It's okay for a teacher, a guru, or a mystic to tell you, to point a way for you. But it is your experience, it will have to be your truth that you come to according to your understanding and according to where your own soul is taking you, your spirit, the guidance. So you have to learn to be true to yourself. Does this resonate with you? If it doesn't, at this moment, it's not the truth for you. But it might be a week from now, 3 years from now, or maybe will never become that. But you have to find out what works out for you. All paths lead to, you know, what was that saying? All paths lead to heaven. And what that means is because we all have our own paths and our own truth and our own expression. We all have our own way. Recognize your way. Everybody else will only point the way for you to do so, for you to follow, if you want to follow that person or that path or that understanding. But it is your understanding, it is your intuition, it is your spirit that is going to decide those things for you. There's a lot of people right now that are proclaiming that they are awake. Okay. It doesn't take much to know whether one is truly awake or not. In other words, do you have any attachments? Is there something clinging on to you? Are you attached to ideas, people, places, circumstances, events? What are you attached to? More than likely, it's a programming of an idea. Okay. The next thing was everything is perfect as it is. Most people consider life perfect if you have everything as you want it to be. Everything has got to be your way, then it's perfect. It couldn't be more perfect than that, exactly as you want it. But unfortunately, uh, well, not everything is 100% according to you. The what it's trying to say here is everything is perfect at all times in your life and everybody else's. When you learn how to do this, you begin to step into love, into the true acceptance of how things are, into the true acceptance of following the flow of things, not to fight against us, not to create a resistance, because creating that resistance only makes suffering for you. If you accept things as they are and don't sweat don't, what do they say? Don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah. So there's nothing that you're not equipped to handle. Nothing. Yes, Sarah.
My first thought with that is that if you stand for something and it's very important to you, what is your trick or tool to not push against things that seem to be opposite of what you stand for? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm standing strong and this is my truth, but then I hear other people and their truths and it seems wildly opposite mine and almost seems to interfere, but just seeing the beauty, I guess, and that everything, they have their truth, I have my truth, they can coexist. I mean,
What you need to remember is that you come first. What is coming to you? What is it that you're intuiting? It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing because they have their own truths, regardless of what your ego is trying to classify them as. At the end, we're all getting to the same point, but getting there is our own way of expression. So accept what they're saying for them and accept what you have for you. It's called acceptance. Does that make
okay.
sense?
Yes. Yes.
Got
Thank
it?
you. Yep.
Okay.
Easier said than done, but yeah.
Mhm.
Angie, what if you can't, I mean, I can understand acceptance for self and others, but what if you have to come to some kind of decision? Like let's say you're in a group and
Yes.
you have to come to a cohesive decision on something, and you've got forces on this or factors, and you have people on one side and then people on the other side.
Uh-huh.
How do you rectify that then? Because I mean, if you have to come to a decision and you can't
Why?
have one
Okay,
way.
is the decision going to affect both sides?
Well, let's say it is. I mean, if you're like on a committee, or if there's some situation where you're involved and the other people are involved, I have to come up with an example. But
Okay.
there has to be one decision. You can't have it both ways.
Okay, then the one that makes the most sense and that everybody agrees on. In other words, sometimes, when you're working with groups, your way is to find peace, not so much to be right. Do you want to be right or do you want to be peaceful?
Okay.
Forcing miracles,
Okay.
because the ego will fight. No, I am right. No, I am right. I know my facts. I know what I did. I know I did it this way. And I know I'm right. And somebody else has a different opinion. Do you really want to be right that badly to disturb your peace?
Well, but you're saying you have acceptance for self and others. But there are times when you have to draw a line in the sand and you have to go one way or the other. So
Okay, no, that's your personal decision. In other words, if you have to draw a line in the sand, that by itself indicating that you're creating a resistance. So I'm asking you what the resistance is. I will go and find out why I am resisting something. I'm not going to look at the other party. I'm going to look at me and say, okay, why am I resisting this? Why is this so important that I need to do this? That I feel almost obligated to do this, because otherwise things are going to go haywire and I don't agree with it and I don't want to be blamed for it. State your opinion and move on. You're still in a group. You can state your opinion and see what happens, because I still will tell you that you will live a happier life if you follow how things are rather than fight them. But if you feel, I also feel that you should express your opinion. Whether other people like it or not is irrelevant. It's that you have a voice and you need to be heard also. But what I don't accommodate in that, if that was me, will be the resistance. That okay, this is I'm not putting up with this. I'm leaving, or I am not. I'm just not doing that, or I'm not contributing, or I'm not. But express what your opinion was. Like everybody else, you need to be heard, because you will not always be shut down. Other people will be also, so make sure that you're doing it for the reasons that are universal, that helps the entire group. The highest truth, not your highest truth, but the group's highest truth, the group's highest potential.
So then you are are still sacrificing yourself in those kind of situations. The only time you don't
No, you're not sacrificing yourself. You choose to be in a suffering mood or in a suffering emotion. Why? Because you didn't get your way. Once again, we're talking about accepting things as they are. Remember that all emotions, are choices that we make. I feel like a victim. I feel angry. I feel this, that, the other. It's not that you are that. You are not. I am angry. No, you're not angry. You experience anger. No, I am. I'm upset. No, you're not upset. You're experiencing being upset. But a lot of people put the I am in front of the emotion they're feeling, and you're not any of those things. And how you react is according to following programs. Because if you wouldn't be so keen into defending a point if it really, if you didn't get your way, so to speak. Does that mean that there's something wrong with your idea? More than likely not. But you do need to express that idea, because you need to put it out there. If you're part of a group, you need to put out your ideas. Your voice is just as important as anybody else's. What the group decides as a whole, not as okay, this one sounds better than this one or that one, or
No, I
see what the other people are saying.
Okay,
Got it?
thank you.
Yes. Says we look for all kinds of ways to improve on life's perfection, but regardless of what is done, it doesn't change the perfection of the way it is. No outer circumstances can change the perfection of what is. This is the main reason people are in constant seeking perfection mode and use so many different things to try to try and attain perfection. But it's never attained because perfection is as it is. So to seek perfection is to want to change something which is already perfect. Okay, and then the next topic was a beneficial life. Says there is one very simple rule that allows a person to live a beneficial life, and this rule is learn to do what is necessary to be in a full and beneficial life. It will be difficult to live a full and beneficial life. By beneficial, I mean being an instrument of love. This isn't done by doing certain things, it's done by being a certain way, which allows this to occur. So it's not a matter of what you do or what you think or what including the talking or debating or whatever. It is your primary function, because that is what you are, is love. If you concentrate on yourself, this is what you will be expressing, love. The major block to living a beneficial life is learning through the conditioned mind to think in ways to self-serve and not to be. So basically, either you are being or you are doing something. You are preparing for something. The other topic was labeled limits. Anytime that you use a limit, you have surrounded it by limitations. Labels, titles, and things like that limit you to the finality of what that label carries. That label, people will go, it's good or bad, indifferent. It is whatever the label is and whatever those parameters are for each label. Those is very finite, and it interferes with your unlimitedness. So Penny, remember when you used to tell us that the Lucy part, that's a label, very limiting, very degrading. So labels are limiting of any kind. That was just an example.
I learned not to use it anymore, Angie. I've learned to use not.
I
I
know.
after that class, I said I am not saying this ever again, and I didn't. I've never said that ever again.
I'm very proud of you.
So when I do
because
something, I mess up. I just don't say Lucy. Just say, "Oops, that was me. I messed up."
Absolutely right. It says the universe needs no permission to do what it does. It only responds to things out of necessity, but it does so unconditionally, without thought. It does not label or form concepts or beliefs. It exists as it is with nothing added because it needs nothing. It's self-sustaining. It creates, it destroys, in neither loves or hates in the sense of emotions, but its beauty is all-inspiring and arises from a love that cannot be described. It's pure energy, and it is from this energy that we are created. So we went from that to reaching addiction. The real addiction is not a substance or a thing or a play or an act. The true addiction is the need to satisfy a false self. This is the addiction. We are all addicts. The thing you reach for doesn't really matter. Understanding why you reach does. Meaning, we're always reaching for something because we think our lives will be better. If I only have this other thing, if I have a new car, if I have a new to me car, if I have, when I get this job with better hours, when, I'm able to get up at the right time and feed the animals at the right time and do the things at the right place. And if I can only get, my house decorated, then I will feel better. And we always think that we will feel better if we acquire something else, whether it is internally or externally. And what you're acquiring mostly is things that you sit there. Unless you really, very few things that you acquire really need to be applied. And I'm talking about things. Yes, you do need a car. Yes, you might need a bicycle to exercise. Yes, you might need different things, but there's a lot of things that we buy that we do not need. And that is the addiction of reaching for things that we do not need, not depend on, and it doesn't really satisfy. We think if I get this new dress with this look, it will make me feel great, and you should see the shoes I got to go with that. And you put the whole thing together and look at me, how gorgeous I am. And it's a thing that you cannot satisfy, because then the day passes and then next day, what are you gonna wear? After that, it's kind of like a flat line. Addiction is, again, the need to satisfy the false self. So what do you do for that? Is a recognition of, is this really going to enhance my life? And I personally, if I want something, if I truly want something, I'll get it. I'll find a way to get it. If I can't get it for whatever reason, I'll find a way. If I truly want something, there's nothing wrong with wanting things. All I'm saying is when you do it unconsciously, this becomes an addiction. That includes addiction to alcohol, drugs, sex, food, sugar, name it. It's just throw it in there. Addicted to shopping, addicted to, being on the phone, addicted to being in social media, addicted to blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we have to be careful what we think that will satisfy us. Okay, I got addicted to this one game online, and I'm over there killing things and doing things, and I got more points and more points, and I wanted more points and more points to get to the next level, and points and points and points, and you're gonna stop somewhere because the thing is requiring you and giving you the opportunity to make more. It doesn't end and says, okay, you made it, choose something else. It continuously, it's a continual feeding. So be careful how you treat substances, food or otherwise. Be careful how you treat your people, because even your friends, your relatives can be a type of a dependency, addiction, and things like that. Do not treat them as a substance, because you know that each emotion, like I told you before, each emotion has a chemical release. So you might be addicted to a chemical in there that a certain person produces, you know, uh, in you because you have trained your body to react a specific way to your brother, your mother, your son, your daughter, your spouse. So there's always a way to see what is it that you're addicted to. Some people say, well, I don't eat sugar and I don't eat flour and I don't eat this and I don't drink that and I don't. But I mean, there's always a place where you will find, where do you feel that you feel like you need more of. If only my father would behave better, maybe if I could get him out of his shell. Maybe if, you know, how do I treat my mom? How do I get her out into the open? How do I, you're perceiving a need when you do that. When you're perceiving a need, that other person picks up that you're feeling that. And so they begin to reflect that back to you because that's how you're seeing them. That's your creation that you're experiencing, not necessarily that that is what is happening, but the addiction to even think on those terms. Okay, moving on. Questions? No questions, okay. So we're talking about light energy, and the light energy that we were talking about last week had to do with momentum. I'm not sure why this is called light energy, but it has to do with the momentum. Sometimes when we first start getting on our spiritual ascension, it feels almost like you're climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, and you get to the top of the mountain, so to speak, and the top of the hill, um, and nothing else is needed except a small push to get you to start rolling down at a full speed. You know, starts increasing as you start rolling down the hill. Um, Once you start opening up to spirit, that momentum that started the awakening will continue. It doesn't start by something else or by something you studied or by something um, that created that. It started because your spirit came forward and said, okay, let's go. It's time. You start looking for the correct people that are looking for the same things you're looking for, and you go down the hill, but your awakening should not be something you have to work that hard for. Just allow it to happen naturally. A slight push reveals the truth, and as with the cart, nothing else is needed than the slightest push to get it rolling. The next topic was being led unconsciously. Thoughts that arise unconsciously. Be aware of them, but don't they don't have control over you unless you become attached to the thought. How do you become attached to a thought? You become attached to a thought because it is routine. It's something you pull and you mull over one day and the next day and the next day and the next day, and it becomes a program. And once it becomes a program, it becomes a habit. And the more that it becomes a habit, the more that is presented to you. So you are then leading your life unconsciously. It says thoughts will arise, but they don't have to control you. Yes, Sarah?
One thing when you were saying that, kind of trying to pull it all together, was that it seems like to me like having a label there is maybe a sign or an indicator that you've developed this habit and this way of thinking and about yourself, like a routine almost. Usually like labels accompany that. Like I am
Right.
studious, so I always study for hours before a test, or I'm kind, so I always open a door for somebody. Like there's usually these labels attached. And so to me, if you have a label about something, that would be like a cue to you that, oh, I probably have this programming and this routine attached to something that maybe I should look at.
For example, let's say that opening the door for somebody supposed to be quote unquote a good habit, you're being a good person by doing so. The truth is it doesn't have a value system. We give them the value system because this is the way we were programmed to react. Okay, this is not a truth. This is not a truth. This is not good nor bad. It just is. Do you feel like opening the door? Open the door. Don't you feel like opening the door? Don't open it. But it's not an obligation. It doesn't make you good. And it doesn't make you bad. Talking about labels of good and bad. You know, a lot of people use that to make themselves feel good. If I do this, then I'm good. Then I can feel good about me. You can feel good about you just the way you are right then, right now, without you having to do a thing.
Yep.
Okay. Same.
I have a question.
Yes, Elsa.
In this about the thoughts, how would you apply cellular memory changes if you don't have a thought?
Cellular memory means that you have put a thought in your cells. You
Right.
actually deposited that in your cells. So you cannot say that how can you think a thought when you're not thinking about it? No, you don't have to think about it. If it's cellular memory, it's an automatic response. So it's not a necessary thought, but it is already a habit. It is already something that is programmed, and it's already something that you have established for yourself, that this is one of your truths. Because the more you repeat something, the more that becomes a truth for you. So repeat the question.
Okay. How you apply cellular memory to make the changes with the thoughts. I mean, how do you do that? But you just, if I understood what you just said, then what are you saying is that the thought, it is already part of it, the cell, so you don't even have to think about it. That's what you said?
Yes, once we have a repetition of a thought, we've almost become unconscious about what is being recorded. It already got recorded. It already exists in your body somewhere. Usually, if you get into a meditation, you can feel where in the body that thought lodged itself into.
What
Yeah,
about the process through it? It doesn't become an obsession?
it's not an obsession. It is second nature.
What is it?
It's a second nature. You're not even aware that you are doing this. You're not even aware that you're responding to the stimuli that is in the cellular memory. You are just responsive instead of um, what is that word? You're
Reactive.
not reactive. Thank you. You are becoming reactive instead of acting. Actualization rather than actualized being rather than the responsive being. And responsive, the problem with responsive is that anything can push a button and you will respond to that. Like Pavlov's dog, except that it is so subliminal because you became unaware of it because it was a habitual thought, and now you have new information and now you added things to different things, but that thought's still there and you will still be reactive to that thought until you eliminate that. But you have to be aware of what is making you feel that way, because usually when that happens, you don't have a thought, you have a feeling, you have an emotion, and you don't know why you're feeling specifically that way. But you have a reaction, your body's reacting to the stimuli, it's telling you there's something here, pay attention.
Right.
Once you bring it to the surface and say, oh yeah, there's something there, what am I reacting to? Or it doesn't matter what I'm reacting to, is I don't want to feel this and I don't want to feel the responsibility of having to dig in deeper and pull it out. All I'm going to do is get rid of the feeling and the emotion, which is what created the cellular memory to begin with, and I'm going to feed it to the robot in all four aspects of it. And that's how you process those things.
So what you're saying, if I understand, you converted the feeling or the emotion that the body is experimenting, converted to a thought, and then eliminate it.
Not necessarily converted to a thought. You can take the feeling by itself, the emotion, the feeling, and you can eliminate that without having to find out what the thought was. Because evidently, when it's just cellular memory, you already worked through the thought process, and that's eliminated there. That's like it's not recognized in your head, but you feel it in your body. Suddenly you have this, you feel apprehension for no reason, or you feel uh, out of sorts, or you start feeling anxious and you don't know why. That's cellular
Okay.
memory.
Okay, just identify what you're feeling and then just eliminate it. Period.
Eliminate it because
Okay.
it might be more than one thought. You don't
But
want
it,
to eliminate the thought because that's already done. You need to eliminate the feeling and the emotion that goes with it.
yeah, but the process is even a thought also, right?
Right,
Because you're consciously using it.
right,
Okay,
right.
thanks.
Yes. Okay. The next one was the treadmill mind. The conditioned mind keeps you on a treadmill, using the same mind to create and solve problems. A quiet mind allows you to get off the treadmill, accepting what life gives as opposed to wanting it differently. This is where you start suffering because you are never satisfied. And the reason you're not satisfied and always looking for a better something tells you that your ego is controlling you. Well, I need this other class. Well, I want to see this my yoga teacher. I want to see my Tai Chi teacher and my psychic and my other teacher, and then I'm looking at this guru and I'm going down the a goat yoga, or you know, throw anything in there that you still need to do because you feel like you need something else, either to get there quicker or to feel better for the moment. The thing is, that's not going to help you because you are in the doing, not in the being. The moment that you start switching all those doings to beingness, that's when you make a quantum jump into your ascension. Big, big difference. Okay. The review was longer than I intended, but I hope it explained things better than last week or added to what was said last week. Yes or no? Anybody? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I got a chance to add to my notes because sometimes you're talking so quickly that like I miss things. So when we do the review, I can add the things that I was still writing and miss the next thing kind of thing. So it helps. Thank you.
okay. So, jumping into the new material. With looking at a higher vibration connection. A higher vibration is always waiting to be connected to. What do I mean by waiting to be connected to? It means connected to what? Connected to your higher self, where you can feel the actual connection to who you are rather than your body. When we understand the stillness beneath all of our stories, we can stop. When we stop, we can align and connect with a higher vibration, which is the essence of life. We are not always aligned with the higher vibration. The higher vibration that the universe provides to us, and this is our misfortune. It is not that we can't always be aligned with it, but we must do the things that will allow one to be connected to it. Our alignment is in relation to how much we hold on to the self who tries to control life. This control is thought-based, and although certain aspects of our life need to be controlled, it's the parts that are beyond our control which we insist on controlling. This is what blocks out our awareness to a higher vibration. You know, this reminds me of the Serenity Prayer. Accept the things you cannot change, change the things that you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. How do you know when it's beyond your control? Is when you can't do anything about it. There's a part of us that is the self who is controlled by the senses. This is our human aspect, thought base of who we are. But there's a self that is beyond the senses, that is beyond anything physical, beyond any thought process. This is the higher vibration self. This self can't be conceptualized. It is our vibration beyond form. This is energy in its purest state. It's only our thought process that needs to make things solid so it can have something to grasp and make sense of. This is attachment to thoughts. Beyond thought is pure universal energy. It is who we are before our existence in this form begins and when conditions no longer allow this form to exist. When we learn to just be and not attach to anything to make up the story of who we are, a thought. That's when one will understand who they truly are. Thoughtless, formless, pure energy. This is the state that leads to a higher vibration. What I call that awareness. The less stories there are about life, the higher the vibration. So in other words, the less thoughts that are continuously bombarding or passing through your head, the calmer your life, the more naturally higher vibration occurs because you don't have your focus on a story. A story always relates to the past and it can never be in the present. So there is a big difference. So any questions there? Okay, moving on to the natural mind expansion. Being intelligent does not make you wise. Wisdom is something that occurs naturally as you learn to understand your own mind. With this understanding, wisdom arises and goes beyond the intelligence of what you think. Until you truly understand your own mind, not much will ever be different in your life. This doesn't happen because you don't want it to happen. It will happen because in order for things to be different, it must be understood why they are the way they are. Waking up is not something that one makes happen. It's something that occurs. How would you know that it has occurred? It's by the awareness you have that your mind was based to self-serve and now it is based in stillness. Quite simply, to see this once it occurs. Difficult to see it if it doesn't. The key to a continued expansion is to know the true nature of your own mind. One day, it was revealed to me that at the core of all my issues was my own mind, and nothing was ever going to be different in my life. If there wasn't an understanding of this, I had to understand why. I had to always be busy before I could be still, before stillness was an experience in my life. I had to find out why there wasn't any stillness. Stillness doesn't have to be attained for one to acquire it. All that is needed is to be aware of why it is not there. Once this occurs, there's a starting point. They can be established and the process of naturally expanding the mind begins. But for this to occur, it needs to be understood. When it is said that the world needs to be different, it should be understood why it is the way it is. If a problem arises, finding out why the problem arose in the first place, and therein lies the answer. Things will always be as they are, and the only way they will ever be different is when it's understood why they are as they are. Once this is known, what needs to be different already is because of the understanding of your own mind. The mind expands naturally through stillness. And what I get from this paragraph is that the Bible says that to a mind that's still, no, that was Latsu, to a mind that's still, the whole universe surrenders. And that's because once you focus on a specific thing, the whole universe conspires to make it happen. But not before you change your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may understand the goodness of things that are there for you to enjoy. There is a reason for the understanding, there is a reason for the awareness. And like I was saying in the past class, there is not the mind that created a problem is not the same mind that can solve the problem. You have to go within to find the answers. Hopefully you'll go within rather than find the answer outside by asking other people. Your best answers always come from within yourself. So I'm stopping there. Questions? Yes, Sarah.
For me, when you were saying about the awareness needs to be understood, I remember you distinctively saying that you don't really need to know why. You know, like the
Exactly.
why is the intellectual mind trying
It
to
is.
figure things out. And so I was trying to put those two things together when you're saying the awareness of why is the only way you can move forward.
Why means that you are being divided in mind. You're trying to go forward with the mind without changing your mind. Things will stay
Right.
the same if you have the same mindset and you do not change it. In the sense of once you get to this level, there is no reason for all of that work. But before then, you do have to follow on the fourth dimension, third dimension, and all of that. You will have to follow that. The recognition that, okay, you might want to see things a little bit different. You know, if you're in suffering, especially when you're talking to people that are in suffering, that are in misery, you might want to say, you might want to see why, how this started, how you became this way. Then you change that to a more advanced, I went very slowly with you guys. I had 5 years to go through. And some people came in later because they were more, because you were ready for it. So
what I hear you saying then is that finding the why is not an intellectual why, it's more of an awareness why. So it's
right.
like coming to, it's not your mind per se, but it's more of an observation, more of a awareness.
Awareness.
Okay.
It goes past, it goes past the observation, because observation is still doing a thing. Observation is still focusing on something.
Okay.
You only need to focus on something if you want to create something that you desire. That's the intention and focusing. Come into manifestation. Most usually, you don't even have to work at it, because if you remain in that space of the fifth dimension, you don't even have to intend or focus. The universe knows what you want and it will bring it to you.
Okay.
There's no work involved.
Okay. Thank you. That's a good clarification.
Okay. Anybody else before I move on? No. Okay. When the selfish mind is in control, you may think you have real conflicts, but the truth is, the only thing there is a conflict with is the selfish mind, wanting what it wants when it wants it. There is so much conflict in our world And although it's all pointed outward, it is the selfish mind that causes a conflict when it wants what is happening or has happened to not only be different, but also wanted to be in the way it thinks things should be. You cannot have a true conflict with anything but yourself, regardless of what happens. The conflict is you. I often sit to develop discipline. The other day, in, I was sitting in quiet when the thought arose. How will I react if I was going to die? What benefit would fearing death have? Will it change what was happening? The only reason this will be considered a problem is because the selfish mind will want what was happening to be different and preferably the way it thinks things should be. I know this is drastic, but this is the way it is with everything in life. Someone made a remark to me that not being conflicted about something means I don't care. But the lack of conflict is because the selfish mind isn't in control. The selfish mind is where all conflicts arise. They arise from there. In this case, with death, the cause of the conflict will be the selfish mind dying. Death is going to happen anyway at some point, so the conflict is caused not by not wanting it to happen. That will not stop it from occurring. The death analogy can be substituted with anything. If you're honest with yourself, this will be seen. When the truth of this is revealed, it can have a deep impact on letting go of the selfish mind because it will be seen that it does nothing but cause conflict with itself. Unfortunately, because of ignorance, many believe they need to be this way. Whether it's facing death, needing now to be different, or just about anything else you can think of, when the selfish mind is in control, you may think you have real conflicts. But the truth is, the only reason there is a conflict is because the selfish mind wants what it wants when it wants it. You can never be in conflict with something without thinking about yourself. So the conflict is you, bottom line. Any questions, comments, or griping? No. Okay. Yes, Penny.
Okay, this seems to contradict a little bit what we talked about earlier about or kind of putting yourself first, or so isn't that the selfish mind when you say acceptance for yourself and others? And you were saying you really you need to love yourself first. I mean, how is that different than the selfish mind?
Okay. The same answer. I'm going to give you the same answer that I gave Sherry last week, which was when we're talking about the selfish mind, we're asking about we're talking about the ego-centered self, selfish with a small s. When we're talking about being selfish with a capital S, means coming out of your heart, coming out of love, coming out of beingness and not doingness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big difference.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? No. Okay. Light of truth. When you are aware that darkness is a made up story, light takes its place. This light is a beam from the world and is always there, but it is not seen because of the unawareness of darkness. Without darkness, everyone will view life through light, which, by the way, is the doorway of harmony. Because of darkness, this isn't seen. The view of darkness is made up by the energy of unconsciousness. This makes everything that happens in life seen through the unawareness of your darkness. Through this view, truth or light is missed. This makes life about nothing except the darkness that is formed by the conditioned mind. Darkness is what makes the mind attached to thoughts, and those attachments are the cause of the unaware thoughts that control your life. What is factually happening is this. Life just happens. It is not personal. It is not about anything you think it is. It is not about right or wrong, love or hate, good or bad. It is mostly about learning to understand your mind's true nature of light and not being led around by your made up darkness. Whatever you happen to make it, when there's awareness of this, you will you will truly be a light to the world. A light that has always been there in the space of now, but it was never experienced because of your darkness not allowing you to see the truth. Be the light, see the truth. Questions? Okay, moving on. Harmony heart. Harmony heart. An I, like I am or something, an I perspective interrupts the harmony that one has with life because of his judgments. Quote unquote, I judges because it needs to satisfy itself. But the heart is always in harmony because it is already satisfied. A mind that responds from an I perspective is selfish because that is the nature of I. But a mind that responds from the intuitiveness of the heart is in harmony because it's the nature of the heart. What happens when one comes from the I perspective is it interrupts the harmony one has with life. The I is the creator of itself, and all that manifests from this creation is done so to satisfy itself. It is what I does. I'm talking about the I does, like I said, I does instead of I do. It is what I does. This isn't right or wrong. It is just I doing what I does. Whether it is I'm right and you're wrong, or it is some behavior that is there to strictly satisfy some inner justified desire to fulfill itself. I, quote unquote, is a harmony stopper. It is the nature of the I to do this. It can't help itself because of how selfish and self-centered it is. When one begins a sentence with I, they should stop because not much good can come from there. It is just the way I is. Therefore, no harmony when I is involved. So in a world where I is exalted, how does one go beyond it to a place of the heart? From my experience, this isn't a doing because it would be an I doing. It is a state of grace that happens when you can just be. This is the true essence of life, where one's heart is the harmony with all that is. It is the place where the so-called imperfections of life are perfect because there isn't judgment. Only I judges because it needs to satisfy itself, and only the heart has harmony because it is already satisfied. Harmony with the heart is a state of grace. It was a little bit hard to read that because I'm not used to saying it is what I does or um, it just doesn't sound right instead of I do. The I does. Questions? Yes, Miss Lisa.
Okay, so I was trying to take notes and I left part out. So I read that, I wrote that I interprets harmony of the heart to satisfy the self. The I is a harmony stopper, but it can't help itself. It's in a world where I is exalted. And then what did you say after that? Where it's exalted, and then you said how to have harmony, how to have.
This is the true essence of life where one's heart is in harmony with all that is. It's the place where the so-called imperfections of life are perfect because there isn't judgment. Only I judges because it needs to satisfy itself, and only the heart has harmony because it is already satisfied. Harmony with the heart is a state of grace.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Sarah.
How is that I different from the I's you would say in affirmations? So you would affirm, I am loving, I have the tools to tackle anything that comes, forward in my day, things like that.
I will have to say that there's an I that is needy, that comes from need, and then there's an I that comes from the consciousness of oneness and integrity and wholeness.
Okay.
And it depends on which I, quote unquote, you use. When it is the I of the self-serving mind or thought, then it's the ego mind.
Okay.
And, did you understand me?
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
Okay. Desiring comfort.
I'm sorry, Angie, can you tell me the very last sentence of harmony? I with harmony.
Harmony with the heart is a state of grace.
Thank you.
Alrighty there. When the desire for comfort arises, it's because the mind is in bondage to that desire. I'm going to repeat that. When the desire for comfort arises, it's because the mind is in bondage to that desire. When this is seen, the desire of needing to be comforted falls away. You will never find the comfort you're seeking if you're in bondage to the desire of that comfort. Comfort is something that's already within you, but because of the way your mind is conditioned, you get bound up in the desire that comfort is something outside of you. This bondage makes the desired comfort that you are seeking impossible to grasp. This is also the reason you constantly desire comfort from the outside. Until this is seen, you will remain bound to the desired thought of comfort in the next thing reached for: alcohol, gambling, drugs, sex, social status, program, therapies, self-help books, God, and so on and on. These are proof you're in bondage. I can't stress this enough, as this bondage must be seen if you are to experience true comfort in your life. It's impossible to think your way to comfort. What does what does have to happen if comfort is to be experienced is there must be an understanding of why you're uncomfortable, that you seek comfort. Is because of the inability to just be. When the desire for comfort arises, the bondage to the desire begins. This is a vicious cycle that's difficult to break free from. Comfort isn't something attained or achieved, so it's in doing less that you are comforted. Too many people get lost in trying to attain comfort, but it's something that is already within. The binding desire about attaining comfort needs to be discarded so you can see this. This is not easy to grasp, but I write pointers so the bondage of desiring comfort can be seen for the fallacy that it is. Whenever you go, wherever you go, there you are. But you don't have to take your desires with you. Another way of saying this is like when we go on meditation and I'm going, you are safe, you are safety, you're comforted, you are comfort, you are loved, you are love. All the energy that is always there for your dominion of your life is there for you in your life already, ready to be dispensed into whatever you call it to do. There is no reason for need or for lack. And that's my way of putting that in my own words. Okay, any questions? Nope. Okay, moving on. Unconsciously attached. When the present moment isn't needed to be a certain way, that is when you can truly be in harmony with life. If the attachment to needing the most different wasn't there, let me repeat that. If the attachment to needing The moment different wasn't there, suffering wouldn't exist. So you just accept what is as is. When there's a discussion about what it means to be free, it is relative to the attachments that are held onto by the mind. Most of these aren't even known, so even though a person may have many attachments, which their own mind creates, the same mind will tell you there are none. If the mind tells you there are no attachments, who can tell who can tell that they are? But regardless of the awareness of them, ignorance is not bliss. Attachment is the number one Attachment is the number one deterrent to freedom, and freedom can only be had if it is known what one is attached to. I'm going to repeat that again. Attachment is the number one deterrent to freedom, and freedom can only be had if it is known what one is attached to. This isn't to condone if someone is living unconsciously and is harnessing others. Okay, I don't have my lenses quite at the right altitude here. Let me repeat that because I said something, a word that wasn't supposed to be there. This isn't to condone if someone is living unconsciously and is harming others. But if this unconsciousness isn't known, there is no way the person can be any different. We are as free as our awareness to what we attach to, and it is our attachments that cause us to behave in ways that are not conducive to love. Attachment blocks our innate goodness from arising. Attached to nothing, and nothing will be blocked. This is when true harmony with existence will be. It is where nothing is needed, nor wanted, nor desired. It is where life just is, and an awareness that nothing added or attached to will make it any different. When life's moments aren't needed to be in a certain way, it is at this point that one will truly be in harmony with life, because it is the attachment of needing life to be a certain way that it is the true cause of one's own created suffering. Attachment goes way back and is deeply embedded. Questions?
Can you
No?
be attached to love?
Elsa, are you talking?
Yeah, can you be attached to love?
No. You cannot be attached to something that you already are. You are love. You cannot be attached to love. You are that.
Got it.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. The awakened journey. Life is a journey. It is a gift, but it is up to each individual to make sure you are not asleep throughout it and become awakened only when your final destination is reached. Everyone who is alive is on a journey. No one remains in a state of stagnation. Life is always moving forward, whether we are aware of it or not. It is like when you take a trip that requires a plane to get to the destination. After the plane takes off, it is not even noticed that you are moving. This is how life is, and before it is realized, your journey is over and you are at your destination. Unfortunately, during your journey, if all you did was sleep, you missed the entire trip and you cannot go back and repeat it because you have already reached your destination. When we have reached our so-called final destination, the end of life in this form, and our journey is complete, if we were asleep, we missed what occurred on our trip. So you can either be awake for your journey or you can be asleep, but it will go on either way. And once your destination is reached, the journey is over. The key is to not be asleep for the journey and only wake up when you reach your destination, because then your journey or your life is over. And the greatest misgiving is now that you realize you have been asleep for most of it. This is how far too many lives finish up. There will come a time when it is realized the journey is now complete. But if you were asleep for it, there's nothing that can be done to go back and redo what has been done. But let's don't let this be your journey's end result. We are given the gift of life, but it is up to each individual to be awake for the journey. So when your destination is reached, the end of this life, you can say, what a ride. Don't sleep your life away. Are you awake? Aware? Very good. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
What do you think the reason people want to sleep is? Why do people not want to be aware or conscious?
Because they're afraid of responsibility, because they have been programmed with so much fear that they are unable to respond appropriately, because everywhere they look, there's a fear that the programming says, don't you dare go move that way, or investigate that. That's not good for you. That's not good information for you. People are trying to take advantage of you. People are doing, in other words, it's fear-based. And the fear-based has a lot to do with the programming of this world. So in order for somebody to be awake or start to wake up, has to do with being brave enough to stand and hold their ground and hold their space and become aware that they have dominion of that space, that they have dominion of all the things that they were made, that they were programmed to be fearful of. And unfortunately, that is what happened. That's why people are not advancing as fast or as they could be. And the only reason I want them to advance, I really, truly, it's not my intention to try to force them to do anything. I just would like them to be less miserable. And I would like to see less suffering. But the conditioned mind will speak. Your ego will hold you back, saying, danger, danger, Will Robinson. So that is what happens. I am going to open the floor for questions other than what I just read. Before I go into the meditation part. So I would like to know what you would like to ask me. Any questions about anything, not about what I just read. Any questions you may have about your own things, whatever you're looking at, whatever thoughts you're becoming aware of in your own life, unless your life is peachy keen 24/7. I know mine isn't. I wish it was, but I mean, then I remember that it is okay, that it is safe, you know. And that's the only reason I feel what triggers me is a feeling of where I don't feel safe. And then I remind myself that I am safe, I am safety. There's no reason for me to fear me. It is me, it is my energy, it is my addition to my creation, and it is quite all right. And, you know, that doesn't make me selfish. As some people will say, well, you know, you're just you. It is me, but it is for the well-being of everyone. When I make a choice, it's not a choice for me, it's a choice for the whole. When Jesus prayed, for example, he never prayed singularly. Our Father, our, give us, forgive us, deliver us. It wasn't give me, forgive me, deliver me. It was always the us part attached to the example of the prayer. When I know that my oneness is, when I don't feel my oneness, then I go into the I rather than the we or the us. Then I go, I am safety, I am peace, I am love, you know. What most people want to learn is that they can be safe, that they can be nurtured, that they belong. Those three things are essential. And if you take one of those legs off, the person becomes very unstable. They have to have a sense of belonging, a sense of safety, a sense of confidence. So we have a lot to be grateful for, but we're not always, what triggers me, like I said, is safety issues, where I feel like I'm not safe. But I solve it by going back into the energies that I can use for that. I have all those energies, I am all those energies, and I'll just pull them. I have dominion because I have charge of those energies, and those energies will move wherever I send them to. And it will go do what I sent it to do, and it will not come back to me until it is done. And that's part of the procreation, because you're using energy at your disposal of anything you could possibly want. So it's not so much that we want all ascended people to be poor. It's quite the contrary. The more you ascend, the more you come up financially as well. Not because you're intending to, but because that's just the way it is. Abundance is everywhere. It cannot help but attach itself to you. But you do, I will recommend that we'll start using our dominion, that we start looking at our body as only a vehicle, a very good vehicle, but nevertheless, is not the one in charge. The body has no powers of its own. It's like me trying to put a shoe on, and I put a shoe on the floor without me putting my foot in the thing and walking with the shoe and ask the shoe, okay, go ahead and walk. It's a tool. It's a vehicle, but it does not have its own volition. You are the energy that animates, and therefore you are the energy that gives um, purpose to your creations. Creation is what you're here for. Expansion of the creation, expansion of what you are, expansion of what is. The universe is always expanding as we co-create together, as we understand more and more of what we are. All right. Hands on your heart. I want to concentrate on relaxing the body, allowing your scalp to relax, scalp relaxing, your face muscles relaxing, including your cheeks and your lips and your chin, the muscles by your ears, your temples, your forehead, relaxing your neck all the way around, relaxing your shoulders, your arms, your elbows, your wrists, your hands, your fingers, relaxing your entire torso, front and back and sides, relaxing, releasing, releasing any stress, relaxing your thighs, your knees, your legs, your ankles, your feet, your toes, your soles. We are relaxing the bodies we are using. This is a relaxation technique allowing us to heal the bodies that we use, allowing ourselves to take care of the vehicle that we use personally, feeling your body from the outside, standing like a standing position outside of the back of your body. Imagine that you have energetic hands that are massaging your shoulders. This is you massaging the body that you use energetically. I want you to feel the aliveness of that energy as it makes contact with your skin, with your muscles. Allowing the energy of love to be transmitted through your shoulders, through your chest, through your throat and your face, your entire head and neck. The love energy that I call forth of that which you are to that vehicle that you use called your body, allowing it to be filled with love from the top of the head to the bottoms of your feet, inside and outside of your body. I want you to come and face the front of your body and extend your energy hands and put them by the heart center. Feel the love. You are that. Feel the heart reaching out, also in love. That love that you are. That love that feeds the body you're using. That love that is unconditionally nurturing and always by your side, always in your side, always inside your body, always being there in a protection mode and an expression of safety, of love, of harmony and peace. I want to remind you that you are those energies and that you can call forth those energies into your body, into your emotions, into your feelings. And I call forth the energy of peace, unconditional peace, and love being bestowed upon your body, to your brain, into your mind, into your mental faculties, into your senses. And I say, peace be still, because you are peace, bestowing that into your beautiful body, a body that has been of service to you in its entire life, and it expresses. I want to remind you that you have dominion over all energy and that you can bestow it freely in your creation, in your expression, in your body, in any possibility of what you might perceive as slack. There is no need for it. You have that energy that encompasses you 24/7, always in, for the time that this vehicle, that this body that we occupy, until it no longer is needed. We are grateful for the great service that our bodies provide. We are grateful for the service that our emotions provide. We are grateful for the service that our feelings provide. We are grateful for the experiences that our body provides. Our bodies are wonderful instruments of divine expression. Allow your divinity to cater to the body. Allow your divinity to nurture the body. You are divine spirit, expressing divinity through and through the body. We are grateful for our relaxation in our bodies, the expression of relaxation, for the expression of harmony and peace and safety and love and peace and compassion and kindness. We are that which we seek. We are complete right here, right now. The word shalom indicates that there's nothing missing, nothing broken, all in divine perfection. I behold the perfection that God created in each and every body, in each mind, in each soul. You are divinely perfect. I cannot think of a more perfect state of beingness. Everything is as it should be. And I am happy and I'm grateful and I'm appreciative of my body that expresses that. And the more that I practice this, the more it expresses this until it becomes a second nature, and then it will be our first nature. I want you to feel the aliveness and the vitality that you are depositing in your body through your hands, through your energetic hands, and through your heart hands that are the physical hands. Transmit the vitality, transmit the aliveness of beingness. You are the Christ mind, the Buddha mind, the Krishna mind. You are infinity, divine infinity, infinite love, infinite unconditional love. I want you to take a deep breath now and relax as you come back into your chair and breathe in again as I count from 1 to 5. And as I count each number, as I get to 5, you get more and more vibrantly awake, feeling your body. 1, feeling your hands and feet. 2, feeling your thighs and hands and arms. 3, feeling your torso. 4, feeling your neck and your head and your entire body. 5, Get ready to come back as soon as you can. Take your time. Namaste.